Testing. Testing. Is this working? Is this working? Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. Mic's not working. Testing, testing. Mic's not working. Mic test. Mic test. That's working. Mic test. That's working. Mic. Okay. And we are alive. Okay. We are live and we are alive. Welcome to day 98. I want to talk about game theory, but specifically something that I have was made aware of a little while ago, maybe a few years. One sec. Maybe a few years ago about the infinite game. And it is a concept that I find quite fascinating. The infinite game. And the reason why I find it fascinating is because the infinite player never loses, right? Oftentimes, and I think it's quite accurate, people describe life, any sort of endeavor you take upon, anything you do, as a sort of game. And business is based around a lot of game theory. And I am a great big fan of the infinite game, which is that you are not playing to win. The goal is not to win. Now, if you've ever played a game, that feels contradictory. It feels anti-competition, and arguably competition is what makes a game interesting. Now, I disagree. An infinite game is not anti-competition. In fact, it's not. I would argue, in fact, that it is a higher form of game, as opposed to the opposite, the finite game. And the finite game is usually what you might think of as a game. The goal is to win. There are competitors, and you're looking out for number one, and there is an end to the game. It's finite, hence the name. And at the end, there is a winner or a loser. And if you've seen the show Succession, there is should I say? There are many. Spoiler alert, by the way. Spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it and wish to watch it at a later date, spoiler alert. It's a very good show, and there are many people in the show that play finite games, and their entire self worth, self esteem, is based upon winning the game that they have chosen to take part in. And one of the titular characters, Kendall, played by Jeremy Strong, fantastic actor, um, he plays the most finite of games. And when you win a finite game, it's great, but when you lose, it's incredibly destructive. Um, and at the end, he is unable to uh, keep playing the game because he did not win, and um, you know, uh, he perhaps has the thought of no longer wanting to live. So that is an extreme example of the downfalls of playing a finite game. If you can win, you can lose, and the loss is can be grand. Whereas the infinite game, um, known or unknown players, and the goal is to improve. The success is found by improvement, growth, and there was one other thing. The goal is to survive. It's to thrive, and it's to keep playing. That's the goal of the infinite game. Um, when you are playing, if things go bad or things go well, it doesn't matter. That doesn't affect how you're going to play the game. Whereas a finite game, how you play is incredibly dependent on whether you win or lose. Losing could mean expulsion from the game or great loss. Whereas the infinite player um, embraces growth, resilience, and achieves lasting success. One loss or something bad happening doesn't cannot take them out of play because the infinite player is not looking to win or lose. And I would argue that despite life being finite, the best course of action for anyone is to play the infinite game because you can't win or lose, and you just go through life focusing on getting better, and you keep playing, and ups and downs may happen, but you keep going. So essentially, it is a matter of mindset where losses or wins don't matter as much. Someone on the balcony is having fun. That smells illegal. Um, anyways, And the book, The Infinite Game, is by Simon Sinek, who argues that people who view business as an infinite game are more successful. People who view it as finite become burdened by their failures. So, it's a mindset, really. You know, the life won't change, but your perspective on how you view life, how you view business, how you view anything, heavily dictates how well you'll do in it, because your perspective dictates how much damage you accumulate. If your goal is to keep playing, then whether you win or lose doesn't matter, because a win is just like, okay, I did good. And a loss is, okay, if my goal is to grow and to be resilient, then, okay, as part of resilience, the loss doesn't matter. It's just a part of the game. And it's like, how can I improve from this to eventually perhaps get a win, or, not even, a win, but just a form of growth. How can I do better? And even if you do win, it's not like, yes, I've done it, I can stop now. It's whatever, you've lost, blah, 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 you know, doesn't matter. If you won, it's like, okay, we're doing good. Let's keep this baseline. And how can we stay on this peak for as long as possible? And if you fall off that peak, like, okay, how can we get back to that peak? Or if the industry has changed to move past what required to get that peak, um, then let's explore how we can improve and get that peak. And you know, I find the concept of the infinite game very interesting, because losses are almost always definite. They will happen, and that is okay. Yeah. And the thing about losses is, as as much as you may feel that you can kind of, as much as bleh, yikes, as much as you may feel that you can get over any loss, if you play the finite game, each loss is the end of a game. And then you end up playing multiple games, and each of those losses are compounding. Whereas if you play the infinite game, you're only ever playing one game, and it never ends. It's infinite. And I think it's a great deal of psychological kind of, like, lightness. There's like you're psychologically light from the lack of the burden of those losses upon you. And I think that's important, because things will go bad. It's day 98, and it took a lot of back and forth and feedback and work and testing and working and figuring out and tinkering and writing and rewriting and doing a lot of stuff, and thinking and speaking and doing and communicating, getting feedback, a lot of that. And if I'm playing an infinite game right now, I'm playing the same game, right? I'm just moving forward. I'm counting my wins. I'm learning from my losses. I'm saying, okay, my wins have led to this much growth. How do I improve that growth and keep playing the game, and keep myself in the game? How can I? Okay, it's like, how can I get the resources now to keep playing? right? That's all that matters. I just need the resources to keep playing. But if I were to play a finite game, I would have had many losses in the belt by now. And each loss is an accumulation. And it is, how do I put this? There's a way I want to describe it where when you play a game and you consider that game done, whether it's a venture, whether it's your life, if you consider that moment in life gone, you have to then find a new game to play. So there is confusion. It's like, I've lost at this, now time to play another thing. And it's like you cut your losses and you go on to the next thing. And playing the finite game can make you, and we spoke about the, what do you call it? The, the confidence curve, whatever, confidence competency. Playing a finite game means that when you end up in the valley of despair through loss, you may quit. Start again. Play another game until you find a game that you don't lose at. But if you play the infinite game, that valley of despair is just a part of it. It's like, okay, there is no winning or losing. It's just moving forward. And you realize that whether it's a win or a loss, it's just a step forward. And all you're focused on is how to keep playing. And the perfect example of the infinite player is Tom in the show Succession. Everyone else is playing a finite game where they want a means to an end. They want something and they keep losing. They keep losing and they're emotionally affected. They make rash decisions and they think in terms of winning or losing and then they move on to the next thing. Whereas Tom, from the beginning, he's constantly improving his position, but all he wants is to keep playing, right? And so, whenever someone talks shit to him, he's just like, I'm just here to serve, because he knows that any sort of competition with the family will lead to opposition, which could kill his career. Even though he wants to improve, he knows that that's not what needs to be done right now. So he's not playing that finite game. He just wants to keep playing. You know, um, as long as he exists, that goal is always in reach. But if he decides to play finite games and focus on winning or losing, he will eventually, at some point, lose, and loss can be quite detrimental to him, who's losing his connection to the family. That's spoilers. And so, the infinite player, spoiler, gets the cheese, and it's great. Um, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic example of that. And even when he wins, there's no kind of uh, part of him that's completely fine. It's his mind is like, okay, what now? What next? I've won this race. Um, Time to go forward. Let's go forward. See, Tom can never lose because Tom can never win. Tom only moves forward. Tom's game never ends. This is turning into like a movie slash show review and explanation, a really boring version of a video essay. But I think there is a lesson to be learned here. Very important. These lives will come to an end, like the finite game that it is. And I win if I get to 100. But through the lives, the mission, or let's say that I have undertaken, is an infinite one. And these lives are merely an aspect of that will help me grow, helps me build resilience in making sure I can come and create content daily. At least, at the very minimum, do more than what someone else may be doing. It is, alas, a competitive edge. And all that does is keep me in the game. There's nothing else to it. And that's all it is. Just stay in the game. You're not done. You're never done. That's what makes life interesting. Just keep playing. It's the point of the game, right? You keep playing. It's fun. There's ups and downs. But if you get attached to those downs, attached to those ups, you begin feeling that the difference in height of the ups and downs. And that is emotionally taxing. Whereas if your focus is just going forward, then what's a little up and down? It's like, okay, you're down, but you're forward. Okay, you're up, but you're still going forward. Overall, the goal is growth. Is to have more up than down, using down as a learning experience. The mindset of the infinite game allows you to build time under tension, to play infinitely in a realm, to be in a place for longer allows you to become a fixture, to become better at it, more aware of how things work. Your insight becomes more valuable as time goes. You know how changes in belief, changes in the market, the industry, the world, how they'll affect you because you've experienced all these things. Let's say you've been in an industry for 20 years, you've seen so many ups and downs, you can almost guess what's going to happen next. Oh, something in housing happened, I wonder how that affects me. Something in tech happened, I wonder how that affects me. 20, 30, 40 years, you become a fixture. You're not a bar of candy. You're not a roast dinner. You're not a cupcake. You don't want to be. They're exciting, but eventually they become trash, compost. But a light, a curtain, a bed, it's there for the long run. It collects dust. And in this metaphor, dust is valuable. Trash smells. It has a one-time use and then it's gone. It's useful. A bed is useful. I mean, a curtain is useful. Glass is useful on a balcony. A door is useful. Wallpaper. These things don't change. And and they get better with time. In this metaphor. Ay, ay, ay. Today's a little bit of a weird day for me. Uh, I'm having a good amount of focus. Like my work output is good, but my calorie intake is lower. But there was no. I'm not like feeling awful. I just feel different almost. Like a change in diet has led to less salts, perhaps, in my body. So there's like this feeling of dehydration and perhaps some brain fog. But I'm okay otherwise. But I feel light, which is good. I feel able for activity. I feel quite good, all things considered. But one thing is because, and this happens to me all the time. But when I eat good, my body feels like it gives off more heat, which is great in London, in colder climate, which is most of the seasons in London. But over here, it's kind of like just so hot already that it just makes me less acclimated. It makes me feel less acclimated, even though I spent like quite a good few months just getting used to this, but you still just can't because you make one diet change and then your internal body temperature increases, and then I feel good, but my body's overheating, so I'm eating less, salt, I guess, because of my diet change. But then I'm also sweating more because of the heat. So just trying to keep myself cool, hydrated, and working. In fact, I had a pinch of Himalayan salt right before I came on live. I wanted to come a little bit earlier, just for the sake of. I don't like pushing it too late, but I think what I'm gonna do tomorrow is 99, and on day 100. Crap, so close, 2 days away. I think on day 100, I'm gonna do a really long live, a lot of hours. I'm gonna get my phone next to a charger in an AC. I think I'm gonna go sit at the cafe, and then I'm just gonna go there and work. I'm gonna go there and work, and that's gonna be fun. And I'm just gonna keep the live on for the last day. Just see how long I can keep it going before I just mentally shut down. The last day. I wonder if I can do like a 6 hour live. Like that would be interesting. Yeah. And that's a half an hour. We yapped our way through that. Okay? We did it. Me and you. Persons. Zero. Zero persons. You think this is like grounds for psychosis? Just sitting talking to myself about business and the importance of the infinite game. Oh, you cannot be finite. You must be infinite. Like Eminem's first album. I'm infinite. You heard of hell while I was sent from it. Anyways. these buildings that are like being formed, it's kind of crazy. I hope I get to see their completion because they're making some crazy progress. I'll be honest. Um, it's like a game of Jenga in reverse. It's really quite fascinating how fast they work here. I remember uh, seeing buildings that took 10 years to finish up. And for several years, there would be no movement. And over here, it's nonstop. I, I'm honestly, it's kind of fascinating. It never stops. It never stops. It's infinite. Anyways, well, whether you play the finite game or infinite game, I wish you luck. But remember the mantra before you think of anything, it's always important to know that you have to be good, you have to do good things, and you should subscribe so good things happen. Okay? That's it. That's me. I feel like earlier I used to be able to yap for longer, but that's because I used to just talk about whatever. Would be interesting to go back to like through the lives and see what the hell I'm talking about. I used the birds in the back. Oh man, I wonder how different I look. I've had a few hair changes since then. Looking back, time just kind of flies, right? It seems like yesterday I was setting up the sofa here with the birds in the back who go on the balcony. And, you think about life and how many times you have 100 days just pass by and nothing of note really happens. And so actively being kind of uncomfortable and doing this, it's interesting how much you learn about yourself and things that you're learning about, the subjects that you choose to focus on. That's life. Yeah, I'm not trying to run the time, but there's a part of me that's gonna miss doing the lives. It's like a oh wow, I didn't think about this before. It's kind of like a sudden feeling. I'm gonna miss doing the lives. Huh. I'll take a short break though. Hmm. Well, for the second last time, I'll see you tomorrow.